Hi, welcome to my channel. Are you an international student planning to come to Canada? You need to watch this video because in this video, I will be explaining the Canada new student visa rule that was announced in December 2023. I will be explaining them in details. Now, these policies, many of them has already been implemented. Some were implemented in January, February, and there is still one left that should be implemented in September 1st, 2024. So my intention or my purpose of this video is to give you full details of things you need to know concerning those rules so that you understand where this rule may impact you or may benefit you. So what I'm saying in this sense is that before you submit that application, before you choose that school, please watch this video from beginning to the end. This will actually help you to understand the documents that you require to submit with your application, right? This also makes sure that you're choosing the right school if you're planning to get your postgraduate work permit after graduation. So please stick around. Let's do this. Let's dig deep and get all the information we need to get from this. Okay? And if this is your first time of tuning into my channel, feel free to give me that like, share, and subscribe. Okay? In this channel, I focus a lot more on Canada immigration. So anything that has to do with visitor visa, study permit, work permit, permanent residence, express entry, refugee, anything that has to do with Canada immigration, I bring them to you through this channel. Okay? Stay tuned, stick around, let's get into it. So the first one in my list that I will talk about is the 2 years temporary cap on study permit. So now Canada has capped their study permit. Last year in 2023, they issued over 550,000 study permit to international students. But this year, they will only issue 360,000 study permit to international students. Then they will reassess it at the end of this year to decide the number for 2025. So if you're an international student coming to Canada, now you know that it will be very, very competitive, right? To get a seat. Now, how did they intend to implement this? They've initiated what is called PAR, Provincial Attestation Letter. So each province now is expected to give students attestation letter when they get an admission. So now you're no longer only required to submit your visa application with your admission offer letter, you also need to add provincial attestation letter to say that the province have reserved a seat for you in their limited number of seats that they have, right? So what Canada will do is that they will divide these 360,000 seats and share those numbers to every of their provinces. So now, provinces that normally experience a lot of influx of students will receive less numbers compared to provinces that normally don't get a lot of influx of students. So, from what I'm seeing, Newfoundland, New Brunswick, Prince Edward Island, and some of other provinces that students normally don't go to will receive more available seats compared to like British Columbia, Nova Scotia, and Ontario, right? So this is important. And just to make sure that we are on the same page, if you're coming to Canada to study masters or you're coming to study doctorate, these do not affect you. So you're not affected with this policy. So you are not affected. Now, this is an advice for those who have degree. Even if you have second class lower division, please try and look for schools that offer master's degree. This way, it will take you off that competitive nature of that you have to get a provincial attestation, because now you're looking at you're competing with not just people from your country, all over the world who are planning to come to Canada to study. So that's the first one. So please, if you're coming to study postgraduate diploma, postgraduate certificate, diploma, be it undergraduate, please make sure that you apply to school. When you get admission, make sure you get your attestation letter from the school because the school will be the one to issue you the attestation letter. So what provinces do is that they assign those available seats to every of their colleges and universities. So school will be the one to issue you the attestation letter. So you need that to submit your application. So it's no longer like last year where you only need your offer letter. Now you need offer letter and you also need attestation letter from your province that you're going to school to submit your application. So that is the information you need to know about the 2 years temporary cap on study permit. Okay, so the second one on my list is changes on postgraduate work permit after graduation. Now, the new policy that will be coming into effect in September 1st, 2024 is that public-private partner institutions will no longer qualify for postgraduate work permit. So there are private institutions that partner with public institutions to offer the same curriculum, right? Before, you can go to those colleges, and after graduation, as long as you studied longer than 8 months, Canada will offer you postgraduate work permit, but that no longer applies. So now, any student that attend those public-private partner institutions will no longer be eligible for postgraduate work permit. So please, if you're planning to come to Canada to study, and the plan is after studying, you want to work here in Canada, please make sure you're not applying to those public-private partner institutions, okay? Because if you go to school there after graduation, you're going home. So I would advise you to look for public colleges or public universities to apply for, and don't look for those public-private partner institutions. Okay, they no longer qualify for postgraduate work permit after graduation. If you look at 2023, it used to be easy, right? You can go to those colleges as long as you study longer than 8 months, you will qualify. But that no longer applies now. It no longer applies now. So please, this is very, very important. So when you're choosing school, make sure you're asking the right question. Is this a private institution that partner with public, or is this a public institution? If it is a public institution, then go ahead, and they're also designated learning institute, then you're fine, right? But if it's a private institution, please don't apply if you're planning to work in Canada after graduation. Okay, so the third on my list is longer postgraduate work permit for master's students. So previously, like last year, in 2023, if you're a master student and you studied a course that is less than 2 years, you only qualify for 1 year or 2 years postgraduate work permit. But now, moving forward from February 2024, Canada has now implemented a new policy that now allows master students to get a longer postgraduate work permit to enable them to get enough experience to qualify for permanent resident. So now, as a master student in Canada, if you studied any program that is longer than 8 months, you will now be qualified for 3 years postgraduate work permit. So you're no longer needed to be scared or concerned that your program is 1 year program. So even if it's 1 year program, 2 years program, you now qualify for 3 years postgraduate work permit. So congratulations to students who already studied masters in Canada, and those who are planning to study in Canada, you will automatically qualify for 3 years postgraduate work permit after graduation, as long as you studied a program that is longer than 8 months. The number 4 on my list is the revised cost of living expenses in Canada. Now, it is true, things has gone up in Canada. Things are now expensive. Things, 3 years ago that you can buy very cheap is now very, very costly, right? So I do understand the reason why the government find it necessary to increase the cost of living for proof of fund, right? So last year, you only need like $10,000 to prove for yourself. If you're coming alone to Canada, you only need 10,000 to prove that you can take care of yourself for 1 year in Canada. But this year is no longer the same. Now, starting from January 2024, you now need $20,635 to prove that you can take care of yourself in Canada as a single person. So if you're planning to apply for your application, your visa application, please make sure that apart from your tuition fee, that you're able to show 20,635 Canadian dollars in your account, showing that this money is available for you to take care of yourself as a proof of fund for your living expenses in Canada. Okay, so if you're coming with second person, please, you probably need extra 5,000 something or $6,000 to add on top of that. So in this video, I will list what you need for 2 family, 3 family, 4 family. Please look out for that. It will be listed on this video as well. But please make sure this is really important for those who have started submitting their application. If you're submitting your application this year and moving forward, you need $20,635 Canadian dollars as a single person to show proof of fund, to be able to take care of yourself in Canada. If that is not being shown, your application may be refused. Right? So very, very important. And there is a video that I made that I showed that one of the reasons why most applications are refused is because of showing lack of fund. Right? So you need to show that proof of fund that you can be able to take care of yourself and pay your rent and be able to afford food as well. Right? Okay. The last but not the least, that is the fifth one on my list, is open work permit for spouse. Right? Before, it doesn't matter if you're coming as an undergrad or as you're coming for postgraduate certificate, diploma, masters, you're allowed to come with your spouse, and your spouse will be given an open work permit to work and support you while you go to school, because we all know that students, you have limited hours to work. So, but now this has changed. This was implemented in January 2024, that only people that are allowed to come with their spouse and their spouse will receive open work permit are people who are coming for masters, doctorates, and some professional courses like medicine and law. So I will explain it again. So if you want to come to Canada and you want your spouse to receive an open work permit to work and support you, you need to apply for masters, or you need to apply for doctorate, or you need to apply for law or medicine. Anything other than these 4 things that I mentioned, these professional courses and the masters and doctorate that I mentioned, your spouse will not receive open work permit. And people ask this question, can my spouse at least visit me, help me settle? Of course, they can get a visitor visa to follow you to Canada, to visit, to come make sure you settled, but they cannot get open work permit. Now, if you're coming with your kids can study in elementary and secondary school, because those level of education do not require study permit. So they can study, but your spouse cannot get open work permit. So this is really important. And why do I say that this is important? It is important for you when you're applying for school. You need to think about in your mind, okay, if I'm married and I want to come with my spouse, I should focus more on applying for masters. Or you're going for undergrad, you should focus more on looking at professional courses, right? So please think about this before you submit your application, before you apply to that school. Understand this, before, if you're coming with your spouse and you want them to work while you're studying, you need to look at masters, doctorate, and these professional courses like law and medicine that I mentioned. Okay, so very, very important. I hope that this video give you the right information that you need before you pick the right school, before you submit the right application. Please, again, if you love this video and this video has given you enough information, please go ahead, share, like, and subscribe. Okay, thank you so much for watching. Watch out for other of my videos. I have other videos on immigration related content. Please go ahead and watch those videos as well. Thank you so much for your support, and see you in the next video.